Once upon a time, there was a little boy called Howard who loved writing stories.
Little Howard dreamed of being a writer, and so he sat and wrote every night. But everything he wrote was fucking shite, yeah. Wubba-dubba-doo, wubba-dubba-doo. Worst writer in the world, worst writer in the world, worst writer in the world, worst writer in the world. He's a stupid, suck-ass, rubbish writer.
Welcome to the worst writer in the world. And this week it is part 2 of our retelling of that movie, The Fly, with Jeff Goldblum, in which, spoilers, he turns into a fly.
He does, because of chaos theory. Yeah.
And in part 1, we met scientist Jeff Seth Brundle Goldblum, as is his full name, and journalist Geena Davis. And she's doing a story on him and his attempts to invent teleportation.
Yeah.
But so far, his teleportation isn't working because every time he tries to teleport a monkey, it turns it inside out.
Yeah.
And we learned last week that the reason that it keeps turning monkeys inside out is because the machine doesn't understand the flesh. So then in the next scene, Jeff Goldblum tells Geena Davis that he has 5 sets of the same clothes and that he puts on clean clothes every day so that he doesn't have to think about clothes, and that he says he got the idea from Einstein, right?
Yeah.
And so she goes and has a look in his wardrobe and finds them, right?
Yeah.
Finds his 5 sets of clothes. But he's not just got 5 pairs of pants and 5 shirts and 5 trousers. He's also got 5 jackets, 5 ties, and 5 pairs of shoes. So, does he clean his jackets and shoes after each day of wearing them as well? And his ties? Who wears a tie for one day and then cleans it?
He doesn't, because if he did, then one of them would currently be at the dry cleaners, wouldn't it?
So you're saying he doesn't actually clean any of his clothes
just
because
wears
he's got
them
5,
and puts them
all
back
5
in.
pairs are in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
And I wonder, what's he doing on Saturday and Sunday? He's just walking around all in the buff, is he?
I mean, no, you're right. If he says he's got 5 pairs and then they're all there, one of them should be yesterday's that's being cleaned, unless he teleports them every night, and that a side effect of teleportation is actually cleaning.
Yeah.
he programs in, do not teleport my sweat.
Maybe it turns the dirt inside out, and what is inside out dirt is clean, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, so we've got to assume that's what he does, because otherwise this is proof that Jeff Goldblum does not know how clothes work.
Yeah, and he does like putting clothes. Whenever he puts clothes in his teleporter, that's fine. There's no inside out monkeys. It's only when he put monkeys in at the moment that's happening.
So then Geena Davis starts to get flirty. She says, "You're very cute, you know that?" And then they fuck.
What is it about 5 sets of the same clothes that gets her horny?
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, she hasn't been going for him before now, but she's. I think he might have maybe took his shirt off. I don't know.
Well, they met twice now, haven't they? This is like a second date. That's all right. Fucking on the second date. That's allowed, right?
Absolutely. But then, just to make it worse, Geena Davis says that she wants to eat Jeff Goldblum.
Well, if she's heard that, he gets in people's mouths 8 times a year, so she's like, "When's my turn?"
Well, I've been waiting for years, and you still haven't got in my mouth. No, that's just a myth made up by a woman who was writing an article. No, it isn't. It was actually a Snow saying, "Okay, right. All right." So. She says that the impulse that makes her want to eat Jeff Goldblum is the same impulse that makes old ladies want to pinch babies.
Pinch them as in steal them, or squeeze
steal
them?
Babies, no, squeeze them, yeah. She's saying the flesh drives them crazy.
Ah.
And so it's this, plus a teleported steak, makes Jeff Goldblum realise that he needs to teach his computer to be crazy about flesh in the same way that makes Geena Davis want to eat him and old ladies steal babies.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so then he does some typing. That's the end of that. He does some typing. That's the conclusion of that little sequence.
Some kind of CRT monitor with green writing, I bet.
Then it turns out Geena Davis's boss boyfriend is stalking her.
Brilliant.
And then Jeff Goldblum successfully teleports a baboon. I think I was keeping the number of notes down at this point. I was getting really bored. Oh yeah, no, definitely. Because the next lines I've written are boring romance stuff, blah, ex-boyfriend stalker, blah, Jeff Goldblum jealous, blah.
Brilliant.
I think that's probably the next 10 minutes of the film.
Yeah.
There's but the important plot point is that Jeff Goldblum gets jealous of her ex-boyfriend and thinks she's going back to him and stuff.
Right.
And then so Jeff gets drunk.
Oh, yeah.
And while he's drunk, he apologises to a baboon for turning his brother inside out.
Yeah.
And the baboon isn't really paying attention because he's being bothered by a fly. He's like, get fly, get off me.
Yeah.
So Jeff Goldblum feels so jealous that he decides to teleport himself.
That'll teach you.
I'll turn myself inside out. then she'll be sorry.
Yeah.
So he takes all his clothes off. Right.
Yeah, good.
Because he doesn't want to get he doesn't want to get combined with his clothes. He takes all his clothes off and gets in the pod, but unfortunately, he forgot to take his fly off. That's what I've written.
Yeah, very good.
He forgot to take his fly off. And I guess I've not written anything about what happens next, but he teleports himself, right? He successfully.
Well, I'll tell you what happens next. What happens is two creatures come out. One, a tiny fly with a human head, and then a human with a giant fly head.
Yeah.
And he has to put a tea towel over it for the rest of the film.
Until he crushes himself in a big press.
Yeah. And then Vincent Price murders the fly. Yeah, spoilers.
Yes. That is what happens in the original film, right? Which it is a really good film, right? And really, the ending is fucking terrifying. Of the fly with the human head stuck in as the spider comes towards it. That is utterly terrifying. Yeah,
super scary.
All right, so anyway, I guess at some point Jeff catches a fly with his eyes closed in his hand. He closes eyes and just catches her because he's got fly powers now.
Is that what flies can do?
Flies are famous for being able to catch other flies in their hands.
Did a spider get a spider? It sounds like a spider got in actually, and he's got spider powers.
Even then, the spiders don't catch with their hands, do they? It's just like, I don't know, like a cat. I guess a cat is the most like my cats can catch flying
Your cats have
insects in
hands.
their mouths. Yeah, with their hands. Yeah. Yeah, you see, the thing is, my cat's got into a teleportation pod with some hands, and so now they have hands.
Yeah. Oh, I get it. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's not. I don't know what the science behind all the magic skills that Jeff Goldblum gets from teleporting with a fly, but one of them definitely is not being able to fly. He doesn't do that at any point, does he?
No, he doesn't.
And I'd argue that that's the most famous thing about flies, isn't it? Clues in the name.
Yeah, I don't know. But if you say to someone, "What do you think of when I say the word fly?" I doubt they're going to say wings flying.
Yeah, they're going to say, sicking up on dinner."
Yeah, catching, like closing their eyes and catching other flies in their hands. Definitely that one, right?
Really good at fucking. Flies are so good at fucking.
Like tirelessly. Really, they don't get tired. Yeah, but no, obviously the thing is, it is stupid, absolutely, and like flies can't do most of the things that Jeff Goldblum can now do.
Yeah.
But what the film wants us to believe is that he is developing kind of superpowers, right? Yeah. He's like more than human, and that's what Jeff Goldblum believes as well. Yeah. He starts to think, wow, I'm amazing now, and he thinks just teleporting did it. He doesn't know there was a fly. So he's like, the teleporter just made me brilliant.
I'd like to propose a theory. I think that this is the reason it's called The Fly is because it's about that fly, and actually... Jeff Goldblum always had these abilities, and it's the fly that gains the powers when it merges with Jeff Goldblum.
So at this point, it's the fly's mind is in Jeff Goldblum's body, and the fly's like, wow, I never used to be able to have hands before.
As a fly, I have never fucked Geena Davis. I'm going to make it my mission to do so.
All right, so next up, Jeff Goldblum starts walking around without a shirt on a lot because flies don't wear shirts. Flies don't wear shirts, famously. Yeah. Then he does some handstands like a fly.
Yeah.
And then he does some chin-ups and acrobatics, just like a fly.
Brilliant.
He puts loads of sugar in his coffee like a fly, and he gets really impatient with the waiter like a fly. It's just like, waiter, there's a fly in my soup, and it's me.
Yeah.
And then they have loads of sex like a fly. And then he gets annoyed with Geena Davis because she won't teleport for him. Because he says, teleportation gave me a lot of sex energy. and you can't keep up with me. So if you teleport as well, you'll get sex energy, and we can just spend all our time fucking. What do you reckon? And she's like, no.
Yeah.
No. For like, A, don't want to teleport. B, don't particularly want that as a result either. That doesn't sound that good.
I have other things to do.
I've got a job.
I've already dedicated 3 hours of my day to fucking a fly.
Really. I don't feel the need to do more than that. I'm fine. But of course, Jeff Goldblum is now unsatisfied because flies, of course, famously, if they can't fuck for more than 3 hours, then they get really upset and have to go out to a bar and pick someone up, right? So he leaves Geena Davis behind and goes to a bar where he has to arm wrestle for a woman.
Mm.
That is literally what happens. Like, apparently two people are arm wrestling to see who gets the woman.
Yeah.
And he's sort of like, no, I'd like that woman, please, and gets involved.
She seems like pretty much up for it, though, right?
Yeah, because she's written by a man.
Because if I was a woman and two men were arguing over me, I'd be like, well, first of all, I'm not a prize that can be won, because I've read Mystery of the Golden Bus. But also, once I watch somebody snap someone's arm in half, I'd be like, yeah, I'm definitely not going home with you. But she finds that hot, doesn't she?
Yeah, I think she does.
What a turn on.
Yeah, she's like, oh, I love it when people completely snap other men's arms for me. So he sits down and arm wrestles this other guy, and this scene is just like it's physically impossible because he breaks the guy's arm. But for that to work, for his arm to snap like that, the other guy would have to be resisting with the same amount. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, if you arm wrestle someone who's much, much stronger than you, you just lose the arm wrestle. Your arm doesn't snap in half, right?
No.
Because what you do is you just your arm hits the table. And I guess what it should have done is he should have smashed his hand into the table too hard, and then he could have messed up his hand. But he doesn't. He actually snaps the bone out of his forearm in a way that makes no sense whatsoever. But it is horrifying, and it does definitely show you that Jeff Goldblum now has some extraordinary strength, right?
Yeah.
Because an arm wrestler, by its nature, you just push the arm down. It doesn't matter. If I could arm wrestle with someone, basically, so that guy in that bar is pretty strong. Me, not so much, right? So imagine me, a fairly weak-armed person, arm wrestling with, say, B.A. Baracus. Right?
Yeah, brilliant, like it.
Big muscles, right? Now, let's say the difference between us two is similar to the difference between that muscly guy and Jeff Goldblum, the Fly, right? B.A. Baracus would just win.
Yeah.
Really easily. He wouldn't... My arm wouldn't snap because I wouldn't be able to put up the resistance to him.
There'd need
because
to be
how could you? It's impossible.
Need to be if he was holding him at the elbow. If he had one hand held him at the elbow, then
absolutely.
Then,
but that's just how you snap things. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. If he held it in two places and snapped, that would make sense.
Yeah.
But you're right. Yeah. Then he wins, and the woman's all like, "Woo!" Let's go back to your place and fuck. You seem like just the sort of person that it's safe to go back to a scary warehouse with. So then Jeff Goldblum makes the woman watch him teleport himself, and then they have some really weird, unpleasant sex.
I don't remember why. What's weird and unpleasant about it?
I don't know. It's just, admittedly, I find most sex scenes in movies weird and unpleasant. But
is he hanging from the ceiling while he's doing it or something?
Okay. He keeps saying "buzz, buzz." I'm a fly. Yeah. Buzz, buzz. It's weird.
Sicking up.
I think it's probably it might not be meant to be weird and unpleasant, but I found it weird. I'm never sure. Okay. I'm never sure when I watch sex scenes. I'm never entirely sure if I'm meant to be disgusted by them or not. Sometimes I guess you're not meant to be really disgusted by them, but I don't know. Seems
I think
wrong to me.
More than 50%, you're not supposed to be disgusted, aren't you?
That seems weird. That seems a very surprising number. All right. So anyway, he decides that he's going to teleport her because, again, he wants to keep fucking forever because he's a fly. And she's like, no, I've kind of had enough. This is really weird and unpleasant. But he's like, come on, I'm going to teleport you. And he starts dragging her over. He's going to force her to go through the teleportation device. When Geena Davis fortunately turns up and says, be afraid, be very afraid to her, creating a line that will get quoted forever.
They should have gone with the line, be a fly, be very a fly, because that's more in keeping with the movie, isn't it?
She says he looks bad and he smells bad.
But didn't he just teleport, and that gets rid of smell, doesn't it? I thought we'd established that earlier.
Yeah, anyway, she, earlier on, I didn't make a note of this, but she found some hairs growing out of a cut on his back. Some coarse hairs,
yeah.
And she cut one off and took it with her and had them analysed at a lab.
Nice.
And she says they're not human. They're likely insect hairs.
So he gets on his War Games computer then, doesn't he, and figures out that a fly got in.
Not yet. First, he gets very angry, which must mean that the fly that got in was a very angry fly.
They do seem angry when they're headbutting your window over and over again, don't they?
Well, then he punches the wall a bit to show that to prove to her that he's not sick. He punches the wall, and then he starts headbutting the window and saying, "No, why can't I get through this gap?" Then his teeth start falling out and his fingernails come off because flies don't have teeth and fingernails. And I've written, I can't watch this bit. I guess I just close my eyes.
Yeah, because why does he? I mean, like he kind of like sits there like squeezing his pustulous fingers. It's like, why would you do that?
When he started doing that, I remembered how horrified I was when I last watched this movie like 30 years ago or something. And I think I either skipped through or turned away. I can't remember, but I did not watch this. But then, as you said, Jeff Goldblum uses his computer to work out that a fly got in.
He should have known, because he should have realised if his name was Seth Brundlefly. He should have known.
Little giveaway, yeah, and the way, and let's not forget, when he did those chin-ups. That should have been a giveaway. Yeah. When he could suddenly do chin-ups.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a giveaway. Yeah, so then we cut to 4 weeks later.
Ooh.
Jeff Goldblum calls Geena Davis and asks her to come see him because he's got much worse.
Wings? Is it wings? Is he growing wings?
No,
is that what it is?
It's not wings, no. Right. But it is throwing up on food.
Oh, okay.
Right? Because he tells her about the fly. This is the first time he's told her that a fly got in.
Mm-hmm.
And then he throws up on a donut and then his ear falls off.
That's cause and effect right there, isn't it? Nobody tells you that don't throw up on a donut. You know what's going to happen. It's coming off.
I saw it in a movie once. It's definitely true. Jeff says, "Please help me." And Geena Davis thinks, who's the best person I can ask for help at this point? I know, my stalker ex-boyfriend, who's only caused problems and been massively abusive throughout this film so far. He'll definitely be useful. Ex-boyfriend says, sure I can help, but can you make a video of him first? So Geena Davis goes to see Jeff Goldblum and finds him crawling around on the ceiling.
Oh, shit.
Which is a thing that flies do. So finally he's done a fly thing. This and the vomiting. That's it. Jeff Goldblum says he's becoming Brundlefly, which is weird because his name's Jeff Goldblum. And gets Geena Davis to film him vomiting on his food.
She's got his own YouTube channel now.
And it's YouTube.
He's got a YouTube channel.
He's got a YouTube channel. Well, YouTube didn't exist yet, but in the 80s we did have YouTube.
YouTube.
Yeah, so she shows her ex the video, and he is understandably disgusted by it. And then Geena Davis finds out that she is pregnant.
Oh, no!
Sequel!
Yeah.
And then she has a dream where she gives birth to a massive worm.
Oh.
It's really unpleasant.
That is and weird, right? Because she's not read the script. It's about flies. I think this proves that he's not that a worm got in. He's a worm man, and it should be called The Worm. Well, I don't often see worms on my ceiling, though. To be fair,
no, that'd be good because then its arms and legs would fall off, and
yeah,
that would make sense, wouldn't it? Yeah. Or because worms kind of are legs, aren't they? Right? So first his arms fall off, then one of his legs falls off, and then his body falls off. And now he's just a leg. So Howard, The Fly is a great story and everything, but what it lacks, I always feel, is Gret Binchleaf as a child stuck on an island, right? That's the kind of story I want to watch and listen to. Is there a book that exists where Gret Binchleaf is stuck on an
because,
island?
yes, there is.
That is a coincidence, isn't it? Yeah. And how is that book finished?
I want to say maybe.
It might be, actually. At this point, like, maybe it's like either it is or it is weeks away from the final chapter. Because Howard, well, as we record this, Howard's working on it.
It probably is, yeah.
If you sign up for the Secret Gang for just $7, you can get your hands immediately on the first 7 chapters, at least, of 8. And probably, by the time you listen to this, probably all 8 chapters, to be honest, of the Gret Binchleave classic, Gret Binchleave and the Adventure of the Massive Jumping Hairy Pig. Ooh. A story about Kid Gret Binchleave being stuck on an island with a magical tree.
Exactly, yeah. And you will like it because if you like The Fly, which you obviously do because you just listened to 2 episodes about it, of course, we learned recently that the hippos can fly and therefore pigs jumping is basically flying. So yeah, go.
Good point, Howard. Good
Thank
selling.
you.
Good selling. Well done. Yeah,
I'm good at selling.
No, and I'll tell you what, if you enjoy The Fly with Jeff Goldblum, then you'll like Massive Jumping Hairy Pig because there's a character in it called Sidney Fishmentioner who invents teleportation in a very similar way. Very similar way.
That's a bigger reference. Yeah, that's a better reference. Yeah.
So go and join our secret gang at patreon.com/manbycow. And not only will you get that Gret Binchleave book, but others like the Secret Gang podcast and other things too. All right, shall we go back to see what Jeff Goldblum's up to? Probably teleporting monkeys.
Yeah.
All right.
Hopefully.
Jeff Goldblum's teeth fall out. Mm-hmm. And he puts them in the bathroom cupboard where he keeps all his body parts that have fallen off. Like the Pickle Witch's cellar.
Like on a complete segue. Is it a segue or a sidebar?
Tangent.
A tangent. Have a little tangent.
A segue is one of those things you ride on if you're a bit of a pillock, right?
yeah, that's what I'm on now. It's me on the Segway. There is a television series of I Know What You Did. I know What You Did Last Summer.
I've never seen the movies.
You've not seen the movies?
No, I've never seen any of them. Not seen any of them.
But the premise of I Know What You Did Last Summer is some kids like accidentally run someone over, and then they they cover it up. But then the next summer, someone sends them a letter saying, "I know what you did last summer," and then kills them one by one.
Okay.
But for whatever reason, in the TV show, there are twins. And the way they differentiate the twins is one of them wears a pendant. And shortly before one of them dies, because that's who gets run over in this series, they swap the pendant, she gets run over, and everyone thinks that the other character is the other character. The only thing they got wrong was that they're both women. But it's basically based on Rapunzel. And then, I watched an episode yesterday, and they went downstairs. They were downstairs in this weird, creepy house, and I swear it was a pickle cellar with weird pickled shit in it.
When was this TV show made?
What do you think? They listened to the podcast and went, "That's a good idea."
I think they might have done, yeah.
Because we make it sound as stupid as it actually is. Because these characters are very, very different. Well, they look the same, obviously, because they're twins. Yeah. But the only difference is the pendant. But they act very differently. But no one's suspicious at all that this is that they've swapped a pendant over. 2021 it was released.
There you go. 2017 we released Rapunzel.
I'm going to sue them then, shall I?
I think you should sue them, yeah, or at least get a credit.
Yeah.
For best idea in show by Howard Long.
I mean, seeing
make them put at the beginning of episode 1 and every other episode, but right at the start, the twist where one of the twins turns out to be the other twin was by Howard Long. The start of episode 1 in a big 5-minute long caption.
Yeah.
No one can miss.
Good plan.
All right, so next up, the computer says that Jeff needs to teleport with another human to reduce the amount of fly in him.
Does it? Okay, I don't remember that. Yeah. But it doesn't mean that 2 humans will step out and they'll both be equal amount of fly.
No, he's going to combine into one human with the other person, and then there'll be the proportion of the amount of human to fly. The ratio will be higher on the human side.
Right. How does the computer decide who's the dominant human when they teleport? Because if he gets in with someone else, he might turn into them.
The film doesn't worry about that particularly because this is at this point it's just a horror.
Yeah.
And of course part of the scary bit is now you know that he's going to try and get another person to go in with him, and you know who it's going to be.
Geena Davis.
Yeah, absolutely. Because then Geena Davis comes round.
Yeah.
To his scary murder flat. And Jeff Goldblum offers to show her his cupboard full of body parts. And then he says he's an insect now and he'll hurt Geena if she stays.
Flapping his wings throughout that, is he?
No, he hasn't got wings yet.
Okay, right, maybe later.
I think he does. He doesn't use them, but I think he does get wings just before he gets shot at the end. So I think there is a point when he goes full
maybe he does
fly.
actually. Shit.
Yeah.
Damn it.
But he doesn't fly. So Geena Davis freaks out and wants an abortion because, like, she's terrified of what's growing inside her at this point. And she asks her wonderful ex, because he's the only other person in this film, and despite the fact him being arguably as bad as Jeff Goldblum,
she asks him to sort her out. Right.
No, to find a place for her. Basically, can you find me a 24-hour all-night abortion clinic? And he's like, yeah, of course I can. And he does, and he takes her to an all-night abortion clinic. But while they're there, unfortunately, Jeff Goldblum bursts through a glass wall and kidnaps her. Just like Will in the park.
It's very similar.
There. Yeah. Like Will in the park. In Forget Me Not. Jeff wants her to have the baby because he thinks it will be him. That's basically what he's saying. That's like that. All that's left of the real me might be in there. That I'm not me. I'm not Jeff Goldblum anymore. But your baby might be. Can you have it, please?
Amazing if she gave birth to Jeff Goldblum. That would have like.
Unfortunately, she says no because she's like, yeah, obviously I was gonna. If I knew I was gonna give birth to Jeff Goldblum, I'd be up for it. But there's definitely a 50% chance it's going to be just a fly. Or, according to my dream, a worm. So that's pretty scary too. Meanwhile, Gina's ex goes to the lab with a shotgun. And on the computer, he sees Jeff Goldblum's gene splicing plan, the one that he's going to use to combine with someone else. And then Jeff Goldblum drops on him from the ceiling, then vomits on his hand and melts it. And then he melts his foot as well. And he's about to vomit on the guy's face when Geena Davis stops him. And he's like, all right, I won't vomit on your ex-boyfriend's face if you get in the teleporter with me and become me. But he wants not just her, but him, her, and the baby to become one glorious being. And the fly, obviously. So they're all going to get teleported into one thing. But she says no. And then she pulls his jaw off. So she's really upset at this point. Fair enough.
Well, she knows. She's like, flies don't have jaws. Give me that. Where's your wings?
Don't have faces. Well, then he starts morphing into a full fly.
Brilliant. Yay!
This is it. He's getting all his fly bits. And he throws her into the pod. But ex-boyfriend is reaching for his gun with his unmelted hand.
Yay!
And he shoots the wires on. Jeff gets into it. Basically, Jeff's got it now. It's turned out he's got 3 pods. He had a secret third pod. Right?
Oh yeah.
So he's not doing it like he did with the fly. What he's doing is he gets in one pod and she gets in another pod, and they both get teleported into the third pod as one thing, right? But after Jeff Goldblum is getting in his pod and ex-boyfriend shoots the wires on Geena Davis's pod, so she's not connected anymore, so she should be all right.
We've established that he's being funded for this, and so at some point, he needed more funding to make that third pod. So he went with his ears dropping off and everything to his bosses and went like, "Can I get some more money for a third pod?"
Yeah, can I get some more money, please? It's going really well. Look, I teleported myself.
Is anyone going to eat this donut? Blah, 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 blah.
Oh, my other ear fell off. Oh, no. I should have learned the first time. No, don't vomit on donuts. Everything else is fine, but donuts, no. I guess at least I'm safe now. Right. Now I've got no ears left.
So, can I get the extra funding?
Yes, just please go.
Write him a check.
Yeah.
Get him out of it.
No, actually, you would be terrified, right? And he's just shown he can melt your hand off by doing it to a donut. So, and we know he's willing to. So after the ex shoots the wires, Jeff Goldblum sees this. Obviously, Jeff Flyblum at this point sees this and starts to get out of his pod to go and murder the guy better. To vomit on his face, probably. But when he's halfway out, it activates and he gets teleported when he's halfway out, and the machine splices Jeff with the telepod. Like it combines him with the pod, and he collapses out he's like the inside-out monkey at this point.
Yeah.
So I guess that the stalker, scary, abusive Stalker X is the hero of this movie.
I think it's shoddy engineering that you can activate it with the door still open. I mean, that seems foolish.
Yeah, I mean, it's an electronic. You see the lights change, the electronic lock and everything. Yeah, it should absolutely like microwave ovens, right? Like I can't start my microwave if the door's open. That's a really good safety measure, because then I can't melt my own eyeballs, right? And I like that about my microwave oven, that it doesn't melt my eyeballs.
Proving that how incredibly wrong Geena Davis was when she said earlier on in the movie that it's like a microwave. It's not nothing like a microwave. It's more like a fridge, because that's still on when you open the door. Yeah,
absolutely. Anyway, so. Then we see Jeff Goldblum like clambering out of the pod that he's attached to now, and globbling away, and he's really suffering. And Geena Davis picks up the gun and shoots him out of his misery. And then the film just ends because fuck epilogues. It just no sense of any kind of reaction. Like it really felt weird, like a real old-fashioned movie where you just go, oh, the story's over, so it ends. We don't find out what happens to her or him. Obviously, Jeff Goldblum's dead, and
yes, you do. And it's called The Fly
in
too.
The sequel. Yeah, absolutely. But it's interesting how there's nothing. There's not even like most movies. You have that kind of at least a couple of minutes of them reacting to the situation or showing them being okay, so you don't feel too bad. But it ends with her shooting Jeff Goldblum with a look of absolute horror on her face, and then it's just the end. It's like whoa! Yeah. It's such a weird kind of whiplash that you get from this sudden ending.
I like it.
No, it's not a bad thing. It's just unusual,
I like that. I think that should happen in every film.
Yeah.
I mean, not that Geena Davis shoots Jeff Goldblum in the face and it ends, but I mean, that would be
go.
good too.
Come on. All right. Now I'm gonna refer back to Supergirl at this point, because I think when we did Supergirl, we discovered that every time there's a sex scene, what should happen is that that you have to watch Supergirl.
That's right.
I can't remember why. It's a long time ago. But I think it's that Selena makes Ethan disappear, and then you have to watch the rest of the Supergirl movie every time there's a sex scene in anything, right? Or just before there's going to be one. So then you'd have to watch Supergirl
quite a lot during Fly.
As I said at the time, that's fine. I'd rather watch Supergirl than The Fly. It was kind of disturbing. But now I'm also going to say that that's true, and also every movie, no matter what it's about and who's in it, should end with Geena Davis shooting Jeff Goldblum, and it just stops. Thanks for listening to us guff on about The Fly for a couple of episodes. If you're unsatisfied and want more, go to patreon.com/manbycow and get it by milk.
Worst writer in the world. Worst writer in the world.